providing business funding to non-bankable small businesses is actually doing them more harm than good. Let's look at why that is the case. First, 99% of small business owners in the United States are currently not bankable. When we define a small business, we are looking at businesses which have 20 or less employees and typically less than $1 million in gross revenue. We conducted a study of 10,000 businesses, making sure that each one of those businesses fit the following criteria. 1. They were an LLC that is currently in good standing with their Secretary of State. 2. They had been in business for at least a year and not an LLC just sitting in a file. 3. They had 20 or less full-time employees, not counting 1099 contractors. 4. They had a physical business location, not operating from a residence or mail stop. We ran those small businesses through our business success scan to see how many had completed all items of lender compliance, turning each red X into a green check, and to see how many had just 3 or more reporting business credit trade lines. Only 62 passed, which is why we can make the claim that less than 1% of small businesses are currently bankable. That leads directly into the issues with non-bankable funding programs, of which there are many. There are billions of dollars available in the non-bankable lending space, also known as alternative lending. In our system, there are over 20 different non-bankable funding programs. These funding programs tend to be high interest, in the 25% range and up. They are usually short-term repayment periods of 24 months or less, the average repayment period being 12 months. And they are for smaller amounts, in the range of $25,000 to $250,000. So high interest rates, short terms, and small amounts. Some examples of these alternative non-bankable lending programs are business credit cards, which carry 29.99% interest rates, so effectively 30%. Invoice factoring, which is normally 3% a month or 36% a year. Equipment financing, which tends to start at factors such as 1.27, that translates to 27%. Merchant account advances and revenue-based loans, which start at factors like 1.35, which would be 35% interest if the lender provided a 12-month repayment term. But often the terms are 6 to 9 months, making the effective interest rates 50% or higher. Most small business lenders simply stop right here. They care mostly about their profits and care little about the actual success of their small business clients. For most small business owners, this non-bankable funding is gone within 4 months. The small business owner is now much worse off, as the initial funding is gone and the large debt payment burden remains. Therefore, the standalone non-bankable lender has actually done more harm than good. However, these funding programs only harm the small business owners if those businesses are left in the non-bankable state, which brings us to the goal of assisting small businesses to become bankable. Becoming bankable is not hard, but it does take precise steps and methods to get it done. It takes an average of 4 to 6 months to complete, depending on how well the business owners take instructions and complete tasks. Many tasks can be done for them, but certainly not all. And when small businesses complete the goal of becoming bankable, then the bankable funding programs become available at substantially lower interest rates, much larger amounts that go up to $5 million, and significantly longer repayment periods in the 7 to 15-year range. So, lower rates, longer terms, and larger amounts. Once a small business becomes bankable, they can use the much larger bankable funding to take out whatever is remaining on the initial high-interest non-bankable funding, turning that potential harm that could have been done by leaving the business in a non-bankable state into a positive that has now greatly increased their chances of long-term success.